the Substack chat, please?
Yep.
Can you watch the Substack chat, please? Because I could, but it's I only have so much screen space.
I usually bring it up anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, I do too, but I can't watch it. So.
I'm trying to find it on YouTube.
Oh, okay, there. Oh, great, we have people. Well, let's just go right into it. So, we're going to talk about withheld love. And so, withheld love teaches us to distinguish between connection and performance, between acceptance and tolerance. Do people tolerate you because they love you, versus do you perform for people because you love them back? And from a queer and trans perspective, as much from any other perspective, this comes with traps and pitfalls and ways to deal with it and ways to manage it. So I'm just going to go right into it. So the first point is when navigating withheld love, that's the conditional love trap. That when I love you comes with the fine print. So your parent says they love you, or your spouse, or your sibling, or anyone else, but not enough to use your name. Your partner says they love you, but not in public. Your friends say they support you, but they won't correct people when you get misgendered. They won't correct you when you say, oh, that's not his roommate, that's his husband or his boyfriend or whatever. That isn't love. That's negotiation disguised as affection. And it's exhausting to have to live inside that and do that math in your head. James Baldwin, love takes off masks that we fear we cannot live without, and we know we cannot live within. That statement holds true. So what you have to do is you have to call it out. Call it by name. What you're offering isn't love. It's conditional tolerance, and I deserve better. You create a hierarchy of relationships. People who love all of you get access to all of you. People who love you but something else get boundaries proportional to their limitations. We should stop performing gratitude for table scraps because we deserve better. You document those patterns when someone repeatedly withholds acceptance while claiming love. Believe their actions, not what they say. So Brandon?
Yeah, growing up, I didn't hear "I love you" from either of my parents. I don't remember. I don't remember when I was probably when I was little, maybe, but I don't remember it. I was too young to remember it, at least. I did hear it occasionally when I was older, and usually it was a time like if I was going on a long trip or something like that. They would say, or my mom, I guess, would say, "I love you," just in case I died on the trip, and she wanted to make sure I knew I knew I knew that she loved me before I died or whatever, and I understand that kind of because like there are a lot of people who live with regret for when they lose someone and they think back at the last thing that they said to them or whatever, and it may have been something negative, or they may have been an argument or whatever. So I I get that, but that shouldn't be the only time that you hear it. And yeah, there were and I've talked about this before, that they didn't show a lot of physical affection. And and that was, I think, passed down from their parents, who also didn't show them much physical affection when they were growing up. And so in a way, I mean, I can't completely put the blame on them, because you have to, their parents own some of that responsibility, but also, when you become an adult, I think you should realize some of the mistakes that your parents made and work to correct them. And I think I've done that in some respects, probably not in every way, but I know the ways I've been hurt, and I'm open-minded enough to kind of look at myself and look at how I was raised and what environment it was, and be able to say, I don't want that for myself or for people that are in my life. I want to be able to tell them that I love them, and especially for an intimate partner, I definitely want to express that love to them, and both physically and verbally. um, and and I can do that. I don't I'm not a hugger. I don't go up to my like friends and stuff and just immediately embrace them and everything, but I also don't recoil from it. I If someone else is a hugger and they want to hug me, I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me. I kind of like it. Sometimes I even get emotional if someone gives me a hug, because of how infrequently that I received it growing up. I've realized that I have missed that without knowing that I missed it. You know what I mean? Like, when you grow up in a certain environment, you don't have anything to compare it to, and so ignorance is bliss in a way. You don't know what you're missing, but once you've experienced it, it's like, oh, so this is what it could have been like. This is what I could have had, and so that's kind of, um, you realize that there was a part that was missing and that you could have received all that time.
Don't make me cry, Brandon.
Well, Eileen, you're going to go next. So,
Are you? I didn't mean to cut Brandon off.
Oh, no. I don't really know if that was. I don't know how far I was going with that. So for now, let's just
you keep hitting the nail on the head. So
Okay, well, there we go.
yeah.
Now that I've hit the nail, I'll pass the hammer to Eileen.
I thought that was another nail in the coffin. I'm like, what the hell? God. No, I feel like that's what I'm doing every time I retell the story of wanting a hug from my. I was married, 25 years, and I'm half Italian, so that side of the family was, oh my God, hugs, kisses, then the other side's the Irish, which it's just like such a crazy combination. Like, I mean, I remember my dad really didn't hug my sister and I, but like when we were sick, he did the most precious thing. Like, he felt bad for us. He'd like say a prayer and put his hand on our head, and then he would disappear. And then Mom would go make the chicken soup and bring the saltines and Sprite. And then, anyway, so, I mean, but like, so wanting that affection of a hug from my husband at the time, and it's like the battered women syndrome. Like, I felt like, oh, if I would just praise him more for mowing the lawn or changing the oil, if I would just thank him, show more gratitude, then he'll want to give me a hug. And then I'd be like, oh, I just need a hug. And he would stand there limp with his like arms draped at his side, and I'd just grab him, and I'd be like, come, to put him around me, and he would just drop them. And it was just this exercise in futility that was gonna, I mean, it was just so sad when I think back on it. I try not to think back on it too much. But when I heard Wendy mention the topic of what this is going to be, I was like, ugh, yeah. Withholding affection, withholding, sexual intimacy. Yeah, it's just, it's weird because there are no physical scars. And I used to, towards the end, I would wish that he would just haul off and hit me so I could be the battered woman and have the proper reason for leaving my abusive husband. Like, nobody understood. Like, even my divorce, the lawyer didn't try to use the verbal and emotional chaos about financial abuse. Like, he didn't try to use any of that in the divorce.
I'm going to call bullshit.
On
the desire for there to be, and then I'm going to let Sarah respond to this, but that you don't have scars. You do.
Oh, right. They're not visible. People can't see them.
Oh no, they're visible.
Oh, maybe, like, and I used to have my eye would twitch towards the end of the divorce.
But no, like,
oh God, do people see that?
Emotional and mental abuse creates psychological and behavioral patterns that become obvious. In as much myself as in other people. I happen to be a person who constantly is in a state of emotional monitoring. And I can't get out of it. And so, for instance, I asked my spousal partner, we're still good, right? You love me, right? And she says, yes. And then I feel better. But that behavior is itself the sign of a person who experienced abuse and or who experienced conditional love. Yeah, I look at Jeannie. I had headaches every day until I threw my husband out. So now you get to talk.
Great. I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that.
I mean, have you experienced withheld love before? Yes, you have. I know you have.
I mean, in the more immediacy, hearing descriptions, I feel like I've been the one that was withholding from Joe. Just in the time that, like, just from the one experience of him approaching it unannounced and insisting on a hug and me not reciprocating it. But I mean, that's not really the same kind of scenario. But it's the only thing that I've...
Well, do you feel like Joe ever withheld love from you? Surely.
In favor of watching TV, yes.
That's still withholding.
But that was also years ago.
Yeah, but that's still withholding. I mean, that's how.
Can you explain that again? I'm confused.
Wait,
your daughters or your?
No, my soon-to-be ex.
Oh.
So we both worked nights, but we had different days off. So on days where he would have the day off, he would spend the entire day watching TV. And
TV. I thought you said Phoebe, and I'm like, is that?
No, my child.
Someone's name? TV. Sorry.
Yeah. No, he would just watch. He would binge watch shows on television, and instead of being willing to spend any kind of time before I would have to leave for work, and that that led to a lot of stress. That led to not feeling like did he even really want to be around me? You've got all this time after I leave for work to spend the time doing whatever you want. But yeah, the few hours that you're going to see me between when I wake up and when I have to leave for work, you're going to spend it doing this.
Well, that goes right into the second point. The grief of living love, mourning a relationship that may never have been there to begin with.
Or what could have been,
Yeah, or what could have been.
The white picket fence, the 2.3 kids.
You're grieving someone who's still alive. From my perspective, my relationship with Zoe, who was my mother, that was an entirely one-sided relationship. And that was a one-sided relationship where, and I said this in the chat, that I was the narcissistic scapegoat. So I was the one that always took the blame. My brother was the catalyst. So all that ever had to happen with him was something go wrong, and my mother would usually predicate it. And then my sister was the one that my mother was trying to protect from the rest of us in the conflict. But you're grieving someone who's still alive. So every holiday, every milestone, every moment that you can't share your full self with somebody, it's a little death that happens in the back of your head. The parent who won't recognize you, the spouse who won't recognize you, the parent that won't celebrate your transition, the sibling who chose their church over you. If Miranda were here, we would be talking about this. The friend who disappeared when you changed, transition-wise, orientation-wise. Hell, even politically. You change your political affiliations because you don't like dealing with a shithead orange shit stain, and you choose progressively over conservatively. That causes that hole. And so, you're supposed to move on, right? But nobody acknowledges the fact that you're actually mourning the loss of that relationship that really, in its reality, should have been safe to begin with. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story that you have within you.
Excuse me.
So you have to give yourself permission to grieve without timeline or apology. You create rituals where you write letters that you will never send to anybody so that you can compartmentalize those feelings. You hold space with chosen family for the loss. You mark anniversaries of rejection when you need to. You build parallel structures to deal with those things. Give yourself permission to be fucking angry about it. I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time giving myself permission to be fucking angry about all of the bullshit that I experienced early in my life. And that grief is real. That loss deserves a witness. It just does. So, Brandon?
So I never had a loving relationship with my father. He didn't like me and I didn't like him. It was mutual. So I don't ever remember any kind of like affection or showing of love from him. It was, he was the disciplinarian, it was, he was impatient when it came to teaching us, teaching me to do anything. He wanted me to do the things that he did. He was a farmer. He wanted me to be part of that line, growing up as a farmer, and I had no desire and I had no knowledge of any of it. But when he wanted to teach me how to drive a tractor or whatever, if I didn't inherently know how to do it, it seemed like he was impatient. It's like, why can't you, he just wasn't a very good teacher at all.
Mm.
And so I do sort of mourn the loss of a relationship, not with him, but just mourning the loss that that I didn't have a relationship with a dad that I saw on TV or with other kids or something. I see you see all the time where sons and their dads go and do things together and have that fun and hug and wrestle with each other and that kind of thing. I never had any of that, but I never wanted it with him. I would have liked if he would have been different, or if I would have had a different dad or something like that. I mourn the loss of a relationship with a father, if that makes sense. Not particularly him specifically, because I didn't really like him. I didn't like the way he thought about things. I didn't like the fact that he was racist, and the way he kind of teased people. Teased is how he would put it, but it was really bullying, a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, he never knew when to stop. He thought it was funny, and the person receiving it a lot of times did not think it was funny. It was hurtful, but he couldn't, I don't know, he couldn't see that, I guess, or didn't care enough, didn't have enough empathy, whatever it was. But yeah, I definitely mourn that that missing relationship. I was closer with my mom, but still not I don't know, not as close as some people had with their mothers. But again, it goes back to the way her mother, my grandmother, treated her children, and didn't show that kind of love until she was older. With her grandkids, of course, she was much more loving and playful and everything.
Mm.
Same goes with my parents. My parents are much more loving and affectionate with their grandchildren than they ever were with me, at least. And and growing up, I'm not sure I really recognized that missing piece or that loss. I just dealt with what I had. It's like, this is the way it is, and there was nobody to help me or anything like that, and I was just on my own, and I dealt with it. And in a way, that made me much more independent. I've never tried to rely on anybody for anything. I've never asked my parents for money. I always, college, I had a Pell Grant because of how much money my parents made. They didn't make enough money and stuff like that. So most of my college was paid for, and I paid for my own books out of my own money that I've saved up. I've always been good at saving money, so I didn't rely on them for that. Now, of course, the job that I have, I don't make a lot, so I'm very frugal. But that kind of went off subject, didn't it? But anyway, I've become more. I guess the point is, I've become who I am because of my experiences growing up. I'm much more independent, and I feel like I can deal with things a lot easier because I've had to deal with it all my life. I didn't have emotional support and that kind of thing, and so I've learned how to handle it on my own. Now, sometimes I didn't handle it very well. I went through depression, and wanted to die at some point, but I got over that. I dealt with that, and I came out of that, I learned tools how to deal with my depression and manage it. And so I don't have to go back to that point anymore. But
That seems reasonable. Eileen.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. Brandon, your story was reminding me of, I had my mom's mom. She was a very stern grandmother. She scared me. And I wanted one of those cozy, huggy, soft, fluffy, and she did make cookies with us, but her chocolate chip cookies sucked. They were like hard. They weren't sweet. There was too much flour, but she did make really good, the Italian fig bars. And those were good. But
the cookies weren't made with love. That's what it was. It was missing the love.
Well, I mean, it's the northern Italian. Like she has, and I blame my big bone structure on my She has like probably German ancestry or something over the. Anyway, I'd have to look at a map to see how close Germany is to Italy, but like I think they're pretty close. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, like I didn't want to be scared of my grandmother. I wanted her to have open arms, and I mean, we got the big Italian hugs and the kisses, but she was stern. I mean, God, the woman washed miners' clothes in southern Colorado. Her parents came over from Italy, settled in southern Colorado. They had boarders, and then my grandmother would wash their clothes. They had like a root cellar dug into the side of the mountain. I'm like, what the hell? Oh God. I mean, she had a rough life. Oh, I could go on and on. I mean, sorry, I'm like, my brain is like fritzing because there was she helped raise her nieces because her sister I think tried to abort other children and then died. And I mean, God, talk about, I mean, and then when they moved to LA, she met her husband. I don't know why I'm telling you all these details about my grandmother, but it's interesting. I mean, she had a hard life. She worked at the LA canning company, and he was the drummer like in Durango, Colorado in a band, and he was the Sicilian. I never knew my grandfather on my mom's side. My mom said he was more loving and compassionate. Anyway, but then I was thinking like, oh, my sister, like she never shared clothes with me. Like, oh, there's even a thrift store here in Chandler called My Sister's Closet and My Sister's Attic. And I do get some hand-me-downs from my sister when I go visit, because unfortunately she can be almost like a hoarder, and her husband's always trying to be like, get rid of that, Anyway, but I didn't have that close. I couldn't, like, she gave me this candle that said, your sister is the one who can drive you crazy, but absolutely loves you, or you can share your secrets with. We never shared secrets. Like, the birds and the bees and first encounters, sexual encounters, we didn't share. I mean, I really wished that I had that. So that's an element of withholding of love or affection, I feel like. But maybe, it's the Catholic guilt that's too afraid to open up. And then the Irish side is more closed off. Anyway, woo, where am I going? I don't know where I'm going.
Your turn.
What Brandon was talking about reminded me of my dad when I was growing up, and then comparing that to how he behaved with my child. So like elementary school, they had us go through learning how to play like the recorder, and then after that we got to learn to play something else. I chose the violin. I was terrible at it. but I also wasn't granted any opportunity to practice it because it was too loud. It sounded awful. I was being an inconvenience. So I never had the opportunity to practice. And so after 5th grade, I gave it up because there was no point in me practicing something there was no point in me continuing something that was going to cause them to have to pay for it because they were going to have to rent an instrument. And I'm never going to have the opportunity to practice it and get any better. So I just gave it up. But if you look at that and compare that to my daughter's experience, my child's experience, same thing. They learned a recorder, chose the violin, and we ended up, I don't even remember where we got the violin. We got a secondhand violin from someplace. And then after 2 years of being really good at it, because I didn't stifle her ability to practice. If she had to practice, because we lived with my mother-in-law at the time, who was very much like my dad in that regard. We went down to the basement, which was my living space, and she got the practice to her heart's content. And we got to the point where, like, I might make a little face or something if she, like, made a note squeak weird or something, and it just became like a little inside joke between the two of us. She didn't take offense to it, she knew I didn't mean anything by it, just like a visual cue of, hey, try that one again. And it got to the point where 6th grade in middle school, they were first chair over an 8th grader. And like, that's no reflection on me. All I did was facilitate their ability to practice. And everything else is their talent and their dedication to it. But I wasn't given that opportunity because of the interactions I had with my father. But, he interacted with her differently, or them differently, because once it became obvious that there was musical talent, he started actually encouraging them to play music with him on the porch or to go out to musical events, because he was part of a group called the Silver Strings where they did live performances. And he encouraged my child to go with him to those things and do these live impromptu performances with, all of these well-practiced, well-versed string instrument players. And that's not something he would have ever encouraged me to do. Nor would he have ever encouraged me to play music with him on the porch.
Yeah, that hurts.
That hurts, yeah.
Yeah, that hurts. This feeds directly into the next element of the narrative, and that's the self-love counter narrative. And this is where you become the object of the person you love. You have to. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay, go back to what you were doing. You have to learn to give yourself what they won't give you. Celebration of the first time you ever took hormones, which I take every day. Or acknowledge your partnership. I know it makes Brandon emotional when I say this, but your boyfriend. I mean, I don't think he ever got celebrated in quite the way that he should have. If I were your mother, I would have celebrated that much more viscerally and energetically. But you're doing the emotional labor of sets of individuals. either generationally or socially. And grieving what you didn't get while simultaneously providing it to yourself in the same capacity. And it's not fucking fair. It just is not fucking fair. I don't care how ever in whichever way you describe that. It's not fair at all. But really, that's the most powerful act of resistance that you have available to it. You know, if I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and ultimately eaten alive. And the solution is to create self-celebration. So you mark all the things that happen and you celebrate them for yourself. You actually develop a methodology of reparenting or resocializing within yourself, you know, where you literally just reflect and say, what would I tell a younger queer me in this moment? Or a younger person me in this moment? And then you just have to give that to yourself. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why I give motherly energy to people. I never got that motherly energy from my parent. And so a byproduct of that is that I tend to mother other people. That's how my brain processes dealing with that trauma. And so, and in and of itself, doing that helps. But then too, you get attached. And when people don't want to be mothered anymore, or they don't engage with you anymore, then that becomes sadness and something else that you have to grieve. But the moral to the story is you are actually allowed to be proud of yourself, even when everyone around you isn't. Brandon.
Yeah, that was hard to do for a very long time. I still have some trouble with it, like with self-love, you know. But well, going back to what you mentioned, my boyfriend when he died, my mom sent me flowers when he died, which was a little surprising, but she knew that he meant something to me, you know. I don't know if she knew or wanted to know the extent of it, but she did recognize that. But yeah, as far as self-love, I've always had trouble with that, you know. Well, like I said, I pretty much hated myself at one time, but I don't hate myself anymore. There are some times that I don't. There are always things I don't like about myself. I mean, I think that's true for almost everybody, though. But I'm a lot more accepting, I guess. Like, this is the way it is, and I'm okay with it. At least content, you know. I think you can be. I think you can be content with things and still want more. Still strive to be better. So, as far as self-love, I do like the way I am. I like things about myself. I think I'm good at some things, or at least decent, you know. And I didn't feel that way growing up. That if nobody tells you you're good at anything, it's, as a child, it's very hard to believe that you are, because most of our most of our feelings about ourselves come from external validation, from loved ones, our parents mainly. And if you don't receive that validation from your parents, you aren't going to just innately discover it on your own until you're older and you kind of, mature and realize, okay, they were wrong. They should have validated. They should have expressed more love, but I can change that now. I know, looking back, I know that was wrong. I can see who I am, and you can grow from that. So, but yeah, self-love is still, it's sometimes an issue, and that's kind of a daily thing. Some days you don't feel like you're worth as much, or somebody tells you something and that kind of affects you. Somebody puts you down or whatever, and that kind of gets to you a little bit. But it's kind of a up and down thing, I think. So anyway, that's
Eileen?
Eileen. Yes.
Well, what's running through my head is just, the whole Buddhist philosophy of living in the here and now, and acceptance of I am enough. I mean, I'm still a perfectionist, but you wouldn't know it by looking at how, like, my floors are probably not the cleanest right now. I hate housekeeping, dust, whatever. Anyway, but like, I remember doing projects for writing papers for high school or research and asking family members, my sister, my parents, to read something, and they didn't have anything to criticize about it or improve it. And I'd be like, it's not good enough. And I'd like freak out, and I'd stay up half the night trying to edit whatever. Anyway, so, but just, I am enough right now in this moment is like the hardest thing for me to do. Like, anyway, yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but yeah, we all are like, we are enough in this moment right here, right now.
You look like you're about to burst.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not breathing. I got to take a deep breath.
I don't know that I would have anything to tell my past self, my younger self. I don't know that I would tell them anything. I don't know that it would make any difference, or that I would want it to. Because in my mind, I had to go through everything I went through in my past to get to where I am now, to become who I am.
You wouldn't ask your past self, like, certain questions?
No.
Okay.
No, because I know as I dig through things, they were things that I knew in the moment, and then I chose to bury because there was no way for me to deal with them.
Oh, I did the same thing. Wendy was always in the back of my head, and it was all I could do to bury her. Drinking, fighting, whatever. It's whatever I could do to silence that voice, because I didn't want to fucking hear it.
Also, I mean, if I was to change anything about my past, I mean, I have a child that I wouldn't trade anything for.
Right.
So that I would jeopardize that by changing any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. Which leads right into the next aspect of the topic, and that's reclaiming that joy. The inability to love you fully. So, Brandon, the inability for you to be loved fully does not negate the capacity for your own joy, your own connection, and your own ability to thrive. Every moment that you live authentically, every moment that I live authentically, the first time your body feels right, the first time you look in the mirror and you actually like who you see in the mirror, and the partnership, the partner that you have that honors that love that you have, the community that celebrates, your full self. That's proof that their withholding didn't win. And so you build the life that they couldn't imagine in you because they were too short-sighted to see what that actually looked like, or that they even gave a shit. And that's its own form of freedom. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. But you do. You always do. And you actively pursue joy as resistance. Go to pride events. I mean, pride is essentially a giant crew of people who are doing that very thing. Create things that are a representation of your, of your experience. Celebrate those things publicly. Build relationships that flow with affirmation. Document moments where you've actually felt authentic. I do that with the queer space stories all the time because, I have to tell you, I play the lottery when it gets up to $1 billion, and I can't tell you that if I hit the Powerball tomorrow, that I would not go out, buy store space, and open a bar. And it would have all of those people in it. It would have Brandon in it. It would have Eileen in it. It would have Sarah in it. Because those are the people that are going to celebrate the moments that you have. When you're younger, you seek out older people who are more knowledge and more intelligible about their experiences. When I started my transition, I had the opportunity to talk to a trans woman who had transitioned in the 60s, late 60s. She was a Bond girl, Carolyn Cossey. She actually lived in Kennesaw, which is where I was living at the time. And, I was able to understand her own joy, and as a result, develop my own joy. Brandon?
Yeah, mentioning Pride Fest. That's a place that I always feel really comfortable, and it's so fun, and I always love it. But it's also kind of sad because it's only in June. As soon as that month's over, you're done for the rest of the year. And there are a lot of Pride Fests that happen at the same time, and you can't get to all of them. And I kind of wish it would be spread out, like I could go to this one this month, and some of that does happen. Like I went to one in July, and there's one in September or October that happens in different places.
We just had our Chandler Pride in November because it's too blazing hot to do.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, I kind of like the heat. You wear less clothing, but it is nice to kind of spread it out throughout the year. But yeah, having those spaces really helps you to be yourself and to express that self-love. And sorry, but I'm I'm gonna have to go because I'm gonna go live with KR Byers in just a few minutes, and I want to invite him on and talk to him just for a minute before. So
You're good.
I'm gonna duck out. So, but I've enjoyed this topic, and I appreciate you all.
We got to the last point, Brandon. That's why I picked you first.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks.
Oh no, of course.
All right. See y'all later.
Hi.
All right, Eileen.
What was the question?
Reclaiming your own joy.
Ah. Oh. I'm in a weird spot personally. Like, my elderly parents and my sister all live in Southern California. I live in Arizona. My younger daughter's in Wyoming. My older daughter sort of lives between me and my ex, who's 5 minutes away, but has the long distance boyfriend that she flies to see in Houston. And I mean, I'm just like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, and the whole political environment, like, but I think focusing on, just day to day, and I am enough. I'm doing the best I can. If there's no one in my my universe or my, I mean, I don't need. I think I've kind of like, I've said this before. Like, I wish I could have a partner that, a romantic partner that would give a shit about me. And I've said that before, and now I'm like, well, I'm okay if I don't have that. I'm just kind of getting more comfortable with, if the universe doesn't have that for me, if that doesn't exist, then it doesn't exist. I mean, and I'm kind of getting okay with that.
That's not an unreasonable consideration.
But the society, wants, these perfect couple relation partner. Yeah, I can't even put it into words.
Fuck what society says.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, fuck what society says. Society lives in this weird binary where you have to be married and you have 2 kids and you have a white picket fence. I don't give a shit about that.
And I just keep going back to these elders in my UU community. Almost said her name out loud. One of them did start women's studies in the 70s at ASU, and another lady who was the dean of political science and writes this legislative newsletter update. And I mean, and they're so inspiring because one of them still does her hikes and takes pictures of, makes a calendar with these beautiful photographs around Arizona and camping. I mean, she used to go like backpack hiking for days. I'm like, these women are so strong and inspiring. And the one who started the Women's Day, she's like, I love living alone. I love my alone time. But yet she's also very plugged into like our Voices Lifted singing group and, American Association of University Women speaking at their fall event. Like we can be plugged in socially, but we don't have to live these lives that, society prescribes that then you're normal,
Fuck normal. Fuck normal. Sarah?
I don't really know exactly what reclaiming my joy looks like. I mean, there's been little expressions of that where I'm realizing that I don't, like, I'm here because I can just get up and go. So I guess in some ways that's me figuring it out.
Well, to bring it to a close before we get to the top of the hour, which we're actually close to. You deserve unconditional love. You deserve it. Eileen deserves it. Brandon deserves it. Jinx deserves it. You know, the kind that shows up, the kind that uses your name, the kind that celebrates who you are and who you're becoming, and never asks you to confine yourself to a container or, you know, or to anything else. You know, if your family of origin can't give that to you, if your spouse of origin, you know, if your spouse can't give that to you, you have full permission to build whatever family you want socially. Family is just a social construct. It's not about blood that you share with people. I mean, that is by definition family, but family as a social construct is who you decide to share, you know, that relationship with, and you have the permission to build that. The love you create would ultimately be more honest than the love that you ever received. It would be more resilient. It would be more real than anything that any condition could erase or force to not exist. And you have the right to do that. Why would you not? And ultimately, why would you not choose to do that? You're not asking for too much. You're asking for what you need for human dignity. And you're right to demand it. You should. Because you deserve that.
What you need for human, what did you say?
Dignity.
Dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you do. There's no other way to describe it. Unconditional love. Everyone deserves unconditional love. Do we get it? No. But do we deserve it? Oh, fuck yeah. Do we want it? I think most of us do. But, you know, again, that turns into, am I giving it to myself because I can't get it from these other sources? That's just reclaiming your own joy. But I think what you would find is that, you know, over time, there are other people that feel or would feel the way you do. I mean, hell, Eileen, you wouldn't be here if you felt like it was just you. You wouldn't go into that chat that you think is only you alone in it. Which, by the way, you're not alone in it now because Look's sister is now in that chat.
I saw that.
I need the link for that.
I'm like,
It's
hello.
on the fucking webpage. It's on the fucking webpage.
Okay.
You know what? Here, you know what? We're in the middle of Trauma Live. Guess what? I'm gonna break out a window and show everybody that because I'm annoyed by this. Here you go. So it's going to be this one. There we go. We're going to share this one. All right, share. All right. So everybody can see that, right? All right. So up here in the top right of the window is the word chat. Now, I'm not sure, does everybody understand what the word chat means? Now, chat means to communicate with other people. So here's what you do. You click on the chat button, and that opens up this window, which is the ye old chat parlor. And then I'm going to depart from the chat. So you join the kingdom, you give a username, your your email address, and then you create a strong secret phrase that only you know to enter the kingdom, and you click join kingdom, and then you give your username, and you use your username, not your email address like some people did. There were some people that tried to use their email address. I'm not going to call that person out.
I'm not tech savvy.
But you use your username and then your super secret phrase that only you know about, and then you enter the parlor. So here.
Oh, I finally found the live. Oh shoot! Let me clock out. I'm sorry. I was like, what? I was just looking at the YouTube.
Here you go. Now I'm going to go into the parlor and see, I've entered the parlor.
Yeah.
Hi out there.
Yep.
There you go. So now,
no.
everybody has seen the chat feature that I spent a week, by the way, writing. Took me a week to write it, but I wrote it and it works. So now there's chat on thisonemoss.com. Now be aware, there's no spell checker. There's no deleting messages. So whatever you type is going to be preserved. And if people start kicking up the dust in there, I'm going to go in and do evil hacker shit. So that
and then you said 2 days. I mean, anything out there can be screenshot and saved for.
Yeah, but that chat is 2 days. If it's older than 2 days, it's gone. You won't see it.
That's like the Signal one too.
Yeah. So, but we have a secure Signal chat, and if you become a paid subscriber, you get access to the Signal chat, and that's where you get to see super secret shit happen. So, super secret shit happens there. I'm about to get angry. I think I'm about to get angry. We're gonna see. I think I'm about to get upset.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Okay, my DoorDash order. I'm DoorDashing because I'm lazy. Okay. So those were my closing thoughts. Do you have anything, Sarah?
No.
Okay. Eileen?
Are you okay? Are you angry about your DoorDash order or something?
Yes, I'm officially pissed off about my DoorDash order.
Oh, I thought you were looking at something in a Signal chat, and I'm like, what's happening?
No.
Okay.
No. If it was something in a Signal chat, you would know because you're already in all those channels.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I hope I don't bore people with some of the same old weird bullshit that I'm literally trying to bury and forget a lot of these things that I had journaled about and wrote and kept, diaries for evidence for why I was getting a divorce and what I was, and then I've thrown a lot of, I think I burned some of them, shredded some, because I'm done. I need to build more, I'll never, you it's like a pearl, and you get this, you never entirely get rid of it, is what I'm trying to say.
No, you don't. No, you don't. By the way, Eileen, I'm going to suggest that you continue to participate in Trauma Live because I think it helps you. Please don't stop volunteering for Trauma Live.
All right. And then my schedule is all over the board. I don't know if I'm coming or going half the time. So don't take it personal if I don't show up for a while. It's I don't know what I'm doing half the time with my schedule and life.
You're a person who rides in things that go really high in the air.
I'm so sorry you got sick after your Vegas trip.
I'm not going to name the entity for in which you work, but I will say this. I rode on that entity on the flight back from Vegas.
It's not called the Dirty Bird for nothing.
Well, here's the deal, though. I ran all the way to the far back. I took the far back seat. By the way, I may have shown a picture of you to stewardesses who were on that plane and asked them if they knew who you were, and one of them said yes.
Oh, there's 22,000.
Yeah, she told me that too. There's 22,000 stewardesses for that entity,
like
but regardless, so
10
here's the thing.
bases.
So there's no assigned seating on said.
Not till January 27th. I'm having a heart attack. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so no assigned seating. And so I told Aubrey, all right, we have to get on the plane as quickly as we can so that we could go all the way to the back because nobody takes the back seats. And sure enough, the far back seat on the left-hand side of the plane, there was a seat between us, and there was an entire seat between us for the rest of the fucking flight because
That's nice.
nobody wanted to take that seat.
Yeah.
So now, legitimately, I will say this. I'm a person who has mobility issues because I have a bunch of titanium in my body.
Yes.
But I did not do this, but people do this for your specific entity. And I know you know what I'm going to say is people abuse the wheelchair seating deal.
We have a lot of miracles at the end when they get to their destination.
They get up and walk.
They get up and walk. Yeah. We're going to have assigned seating January 27th.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's some of those seats that you can pay for with the extra legroom.
Here's the thing.
Get a different snack. I'm like, what's happening?
I'm just going to tell you. The experience on your entity that I am not saying the name of in any way whatsoever blows the doors off of Frontier or Spirit.
Thanks.
Airline.
Yeah.
And
we're our own thing. We're not like a major. We're not like a commuter. We've always been a maverick. I'm using all these code words.
Yes, maverick. My Spirit experience was literally, I got on the plane and there was a dude next to me and he sat down, reeked of marijuana, and he was like, oh, dude, I'm sorry, man. I had to smoke like 3 joints before I could get on the plane, so I won't be too nervous or whatever. And I'm like,
oh, we get that too. It depends on what city pairs. Spokane, Reno, Denver, San Francisco, California cities. Yeah, it can be a bit much.
Having the infused beverage before we went through security in Denver.
An adult beverage? What?
No,
what?
an infused beverage.
An infused beverage.
About this tall.
An infused THC influenced beverage.
A beverage, 10 milligrams of sativa gummy. There may have been some infused chocolate too. All of this and some Dramamine so that she could get through the flight. And then we were delayed for 4 hours.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. We should do trauma airline chat. No.
Oh, maybe. God, I have, believe me, if we do trauma airline talk, we will have you on the show for that. I literally have hundreds of air travel negative stories.
Talk about suppressing memories, man. I love my job though. I come home and I forget what I do for a living.
I think you have to. All right.
Okay.
Eileen,
all right.
Thank you. We've gone over the hour. Don't want to.
Okay. Well,
don't want to take up the airwave space for other people that are trying to get the message out. Thank you, Eileen, for coming. Please continue to come. Thank you, Sarah, for being in my house.
That's so cute. You guys are so cute.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Goodbye to everybody out in Substack land and YouTube land and Instagram land and Twitch land and wherever else the fuck we're broadcasting. We're broadcasting like 5 channels. So.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yep. So stay safe out there. Do good things. I'll be doing a live tomorrow evening or afternoon. We'll see. Thank you. Good night and good luck.
Take care.
I'm not Edward R. Murrow.